regular meeting for May 2026 to order. And I'll begin with the roll call. James Oku. Here. Natalie Sayre. Here. Don Bard. Peter Markey. Here. Ryan Tate. Here. Paul Masaradio and Saccio. Crystal Shea. Hasn't stepped outside for a phone call. She received piano level. Marilyn Johnson. Marilyn texted to let me know she's not going to be able to. San Mateo County Ag Commissioner Corin Little. Farm Bureau Executive Director Jess Brown. Jess Brown texted not going to be able to hear. Steve Co-op Extension Rep Dr. Nicola Khan. San Mateo County Planning Liaison Bobby Miller. Thank you. We will now move to public comment for items on consent agenda and to allow the public to address the matter not on the agenda. If your subject is not on the agenda, the chair will recognize you at this time. All speakers should limit their comments to 2 minutes. All public comments must relate to something that is within the subject matter jurisdiction of this agency. If a comment does not relate to the subject matter jurisdiction of the agency, we will interrupt the comment and move on to the next speaker. As presiding officer, the team will determine whether a comment does not relate to the subject matter placed within the agency's purview. Please note that the committee cannot discuss or act on an item not on the agenda. Instructions for this: to raise your hand, and when you're called on, I will ask you to come to the podium. And please no extraneous noise while the session. Do we have public comments for items for items not on the agenda? No? Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. We will first call upon members in person, followed by speakers on Zoom. For in-person comments, please raise your hands. And on Zoom, please use the raised hand feature or *9 if you are calling by phone. And there are not any hands raised at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, and nobody who's present. Thank you very much. Please. Okay, thank you. We will now close public comment for items on consent agenda and items not on the agenda. Are there any comments from committee members, or is there a motion to set the agenda and approve consent agenda, which includes item 1, minutes from May 12th, 2025 and May 9th, 2026. We're going to break that up like we did at the last meeting, Robbie, the minutes, so that it's separate. So it's not a vote as a whole. But so firstly, is there a motion to set the agenda? Well, firstly, are there any comments from committee members for items not on the agenda? No?
Well, wait, no, we're just doing consideration of minutes and consent agenda.
Oh, okay. You have on my
Can we get paid to do later?
you have on my script items from committee members. Robbie. Okay, that's okay. So is there a motion to set the agenda and approve consent agenda, which includes item 1?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Is there a vote? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. All right. Minutes from the May 12th, 2025 meeting. Do we have a motion regarding the minutes from the May 12th, 2025 meeting?
Wait, that should have been wrapped up in the consent agenda, I thought.
We were gonna, last time we did it separately, we separated the 2 minutes. That Robbie's just been so great at expediting and getting those work done. There's more than one on there, but we separated it so that in effect, we had an issue in one and not the other. So that's why we're doing it separately. So,
It should be together.
okay,
Because-
okay,
Yeah.
okay, all
Cause
right,
we gave a week for people to review it.
okay,
And so we're hoping people come for consent items, that they know, what they're,
okay,
what's on consent and.
okay. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so we'll go ahead and change that. So you need me to change the way I presented it so that we need to re-vote on it, or was it covered in what we had done?
Yeah, we just need somebody to bring a motion to
Okay,
set the
so,
agenda and then the 2 minutes, state the 2 minutes. May 12th, 2025 and March 9th, 2026.
okay, so we did that already, but, we'll do it again with, inclusive of the minutes from May 12th, 2025 and March 9th, 2026. Thank you. Can I have a motion? If you wanted to do it over,
So moved.
a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, all right, thank you. Okay, we'll now move on to item 2, San Mateo County composting program update by Doug Miller. Is that Miller or Millar? Millar. Resource Conservation District.
Hi, thanks for having us. This is Doug Millar, and I'll be joined with Elijah Milio and Jack Steinman from Elijah's with the RCD, and Jack Steinman is with the San Mateo County Sustainability. And we will be talking about a collaboration with the Sustainability Department and the Resource Conservation District to build healthier soil with compost. I believe you should. Okay, fantastic. All right, so, hand it off to, Elijah.
Cool, yeah, well, obviously, we're here to talk compost, but I also feel like we haven't shown up and presented in a while, so just wanted to do a little refresher. Hopefully it's a refresher for everyone, but if there's folks where this is new information, that's always good too. So the RCD, what are we, who are we, and why are we here? And this is a photo of some of the original farmers who established the RCD in 1939, and our RCD here in San Mateo County is the first in the state. Our farmers saw a real need for what was then determined a soil conservation district, and has since evolved to include all natural resources. So we were really created by farmers to support farmers, and I think that's a cool piece of history for our region. You can go to the next slide. And this is just a smattering of some of the types of services and issues that we may be able to assist on. So our range of support for farmers looks very different depending on the different needs of the landowners and operators. But it really does span the gamut. And no need to read all that now, but just know we can usually support and find creative solutions for whatever's going on for y'all. Next slide. And also as a reminder, I also get to serve as the San Mateo County Agricultural Ombudsman. So that's a program that is funded by the county and sort of sits with the Agricultural Commissioner's Office, but I get to serve at and be housed at the RCD. So it's a neat way that we can provide services outside of just resource conservation, but really look to, streamlining county processes and permitting. I know you all have a lot of conversations happening right now around your work plan and some of the things that you want to see improved. And I think the Ag Ombudsman is a really important resource I can kind of help you liaise between the different departments at the county and also come up with solutions and then talk about how to actually make those solutions take place. So just a reminder that is something that I'm here to do. And then, the reason I think the Ag Ombudsman and the RCD are really unique is that we are non-regulatory and therefore confidential. We are always looking for kind of the creative win-win solutions, and it's really about supporting voluntary conservation or projects. So we're here to support And then I guess I'll just finally say a lot of, if not all of what we do is in partnership, and so as we talked today about one of our programs, just wanted to tee that up, as an example of one of the ways we work together. And Doug, I'll pass it to you.
Yeah, so why don't we add compost to the landscape? Well, it improves soil health and structure. It builds your water holding capacity, so less irrigation is required. It increases photosynthesis, drawing carbon dioxide down from the atmosphere. And then it adds organic matter, which acts like glue, preventing erosion. Next. And so we know that healthy soil is composed of about 45% mineral, around 5% organic matter, and then 50% pore space, which is really critical. Because compost helps build soil aggregates, and those are those irregularly shaped little blocks that form that soil clod. And those little blocks create more pores, pipes, and pathways for more water and air to infiltrate your soil, and then healthy microbes. So where do organic materials go when they're not composted? Well, they go to the landfill, where they break down anaerobically and form into methane, which is about 24 times worse than carbon dioxide in our atmosphere. So that's going to trap heat and warm our climate. So hang on a second, I'm not done yet. And so one of the things about that breaking down as methane is, makes it warmer, but it also, if it's going to our landfills are going to be in our area, it's going to be about a landfill by around 2035. So that's pretty important to also just reduce the volume of materials going to our land. So there was a law called Senate Bill SB 1383. It requires California jurisdictions to divert 75% of their organic waste from landfills by 2025. And they need to procure a fixed amount of recoverable organic products. So that means like compost, mulch, and renewable energy. But there's not a lot of renewable energy in our area. So it's really down to compost and mulch. Compost really gets the best bang for the buck. And so this amount is based on the city's and county population. I like to think about it like if your city has a green bin, they have to comply with SB 1383. And so then they're required to document and report that information, how much compost they procured within that year. And so why good compost should be part of your operation is because it includes beneficial microbes that suppress soil-borne pathogens. So no matter how you farm, everybody has to deal with pathogens. So if you have healthier soil, you're going to have a better chance of reducing those issues. And so that improves your plant health for that pathogen resistance. And then it adds organic matter, which enhances the exchange capacity of your soil. So that means it's going to make your fertilizers work better, whether they're organic, inorganic. This is a matter of just increasing that basket to hold more nutrients in your soil. And so this is the overview of the Compost for Climate Solutions program. This program is funded by San Mateo County and the cities. There's 20 cities, about 19 cities in one county, that are in partnership with the RCD. And to date, we've procured about 26,000 tons of compost. And we take a lot of care to make sure that it's quality, clean, agricultural compost from reliable producers. It's really important to do that. Because not all.
Want to do questions now or today? Is it really long?
It's up to you all as the presenters, what's better for you.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, you go ahead and call on them.
Okay. Yeah.
No, I was just gonna ask about the quality of the compost, verify how that's verified. Do you do any testing or anything like that?
Yes. So, I'll just go through this slide and that'll answer your question. So, not all compost is quality compost. See, we get one chance to do this, is the way I look at it. If we're setting up a project and compost is laid out or spread out on a property and it's full of bits of trash and it's not good quality, cured, stable material, no one's going to want us to come back. So it's really important to make sure that it's good stuff. And so as an RCD, I have a good background in soil health and compost. So we make sure that we get the analysis of the compost. And then all of the producers have a certain process that they go through where they track all of the piles, every windrow or pile, depending on what the method is. And they have batches and they track those batches, and they have to go through so many turns to keep the temperature at a certain level so that all the pathogens are killed off. And things break down and so that it's a nice stable material, so it's safe for plants. And so there's traceability. And the compost industry keeps that really closely held to their heart because, if one bad batch gets out, the word gets out and people don't want to use it, and then the whole industry collapses. So they want to make sure that they're doing the right thing. And the Salinas Valley, which is, the salad bowl capital of the world, uses a ridiculous amount of compost. And they're all very concerned about pathogens, Salmonella, E. coli, and there's these processes in place just to assure that that stuff doesn't happen.
James, did you have a question?
Yeah, so I mean, my questions are also related to that. So as a greenhouse producer, we always use the steam sterilizer soil because we're always very concerned about
Right,
pathogens, and we're worried about viruses,
yes,
and we're worried about pests and all that in the greenhouse, because once you get it, it's really hard to get rid of.
absolutely.
So, I mean, composting will get rid of all the viruses too.
Yes, so composting, when you get up to about 145 degrees, it kills the viruses. My background is actually greenhouses, and so in a greenhouse situation, it's not a natural environment. You really have to stay pretty sterile. In a natural soil-based, farm-based, environment, you've got a lot of different things going on. So there's a lot of biology, and so if you use good biology to take care of the bad biology, most of that bad biology, they're pretty weak organisms, and so they don't survive very well unless there's some anaerobic, lack of oxygen kind of situation, or it's very wet. So with composting, it's really important to make sure that that stuff is passed.
Yeah, one of our main buyers in the past, and one that set that product, if we use composting, even if it went through a cookery of over 140 degrees, like this thing killed it. They just could not take the chance.
Yeah, and I understand that. That's some, in the past, way back in the past, that's happened. More recently, like Promise Labs, the other certifiers have all realized, hey, wow, this actually helps the situation. It doesn't degrade from it. So in fact, like Primus actually works on both sides of that. They help the composters and then they help the farms. And so getting these folks to talk together sometimes is really all that matters or makes a difference. Next slide, please. So we'll let Jack take care of this slide here. And Jack's from San Mateo County Sustainability.
Yes, great to be here. Great to see you all. It's my first time at this meeting. So I'm sorry if I haven't introduced myself personally. Hopefully I get the chance to today. I work with the sustainability department. Gotten to work on this program with Doug and the RCD team for about 5 years now. It's steadily been growing, which is exactly one of the goals of this program. This law, SB 1383, it sets aggressive mandates to divert organics from the landfill. But there has to be a place for all this material to go once it's recycled into compost. So this big goal of this program is to help build the market, our local compost market, our local compost economy. So this program, it does that by working together with all the cities in San Mateo County, from Daly City down to Menlo Park, and then Pacifica, Half Moon Bay as well, the coast side. And we all work together to try to reduce the cost of compost for farmers, and range-farm owners. The idea is to make composting an easy solution. We work with our city team too to be able to come out to your farms, to your operations, and help you an assessment of how compost can be used, spread awareness and education around just how compost could be incorporated into your operations. And at the end of the day, we're trying to make this compost use standard part of agriculture in San Mateo County. So it can sustain the growing economy for this new product and help us divert organics from the landfill long term. Doug said this before too, but if we're able to accomplish that, we can also extend the lifespan of our Fox Mountain, our landfill. And the longer we can keep that running, the longer we can also reduce waste hauling costs for communities on the coast as well. So there's a wide range of benefits for this kind of product.
Do you have a price you have in your mind that you're gonna be selling compost for yard?
So we structure the program a little different. It's more based on the size of your operation. There's an amount of a rebate that we can provide. So if you're a small operation, it's looking around $60 and then per ton of compost. And then the larger your farm gets, it scales down to about 40 and then $20 per ton.
One of the biggest expenses is trucking.
Yes.
And my opinion is because a lot of farmers don't know what the cost of trucking is, we're expensive. We used to get spent compost, mushroom farm. It was where they did it for free, but actually we took a certain amount a year, not a lot, because trucking was really expensive. Is there any way that it can be free, because farmers is gonna be footing the bill for trucking?
So the cost of it. Sorry, no, there's a question.
The questions for the committee members now, and then the questions for the public will be afterwards.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Go ahead.
The rebate can cover some of the costs of the trucking. So it depends on the type of compost product that makes sense for your farm, your operation. So if the rebate is more than the cost of the compost itself, it can also go to help cover the cost of transportation and spread.
I can offer that too. So, it really depends on where the compost comes from and what the price is for it to be delivered and spread on everything. So, there is a company that can spread good quality compost for about $50, delivered and spread. And so if your farm is small, in the tier of $60, then it's free. And then medium-sized farms, it's gonna be about $40 per ton is what we contribute to this program. And so it's gonna cost you like $10 a ton to have it delivered and spread. If you're not having it spread, well, then it's gonna you're gonna get it free again. So it's really a matter of what services you get, and I'll show you a little bit more about how that's all spread out in sites here.
And I just say, Doug is your go-to for any questions about the logistics for your specific farm. He's the boots on the ground, really making all the pieces work together. So Jeff, quick question for your specific situation. Doug's your go-to. Yeah,
I had a couple of questions. One was, so it says assistance based on farm size. So this is a rebate, or is this how much per ton you're selling to the farm for, or like what exactly does that mean?
We're not selling to the farm. So if you buy the compost from the compost company, and then we reimburse that. So
Are there specific compost companies that you have to go through?
no,
Or is it?
there are certified compost facilities. You can buy on-farm compost. There's a lot of flexibility.
And then the other question I had was earlier you said by the farm, by the Senate bill, by 2025, it said 75% of the green waste is supposed to be composted. So I was curious where we were against that goal.
Yeah, that's a great question. That is a number that is elusive as far as I know, you know, but the cities are, you know, like Half Moon Bay at 100% last time. You know, a few of the other cities hit 100%. I think we had about 5 cities hit 100%. A few hit 75 to 70, and then somewhere up around 50%.
Okay.
Yeah,
That particular goal too, it's a statewide goal. So it's the, any one jurisdiction, it's not necessarily, 75% dollar when it's free from Half Bay. It's more cumulative. And the state is looking across the entire state, if California's diverting 75% of its organics. And for each jurisdiction, there's specific things that the city has to do. So like, an example of that is, rolling out organics collection. So we're getting a green bin out on the coast. That's something that the state mandates for the county or the city provide. To reach that 75% goal.
Thank you. As long as that, the completion of your.
no, they have more sides, yeah, so how, we have a sign up, we have a very simple, like, one pager, you sign in one spot, and it's easy to do. We'll do soil sampling, just to, get a determination of what's in the field, how much we need to apply. And then just do the order and delivery, it's spread, and then, we just verify that the practice happened. And so there's the assistance based on the farm size and your acreage. And then next slide, please.
Yeah, good question.
Yeah.
On your composting, is it strictly, green clippings or is it, all material? What is your compost?
The feedstocks, that's the technical term for what goes in the compost pile, can vary. It really depends on what you're looking for, from the producer of compost. So, it could be equine stall waste, it could be dairy manure, it could be, just green waste from, like landscape materials. There's lots of different, it's like a recipe, and so if you want more amino acids, you might want to have, animal manure. But if you want to have, something that's just green waste, more organic material, or plant material, you go with that kind of producer. And so some of these producers have different windrow setups with different feedstocks, so you can have a choice. We'll go through really quick how compost is applied. Next slide. Next slide, please. Thank you. Typically they use, like a dump truck with spinning plates on the back that flings it out just at a pretty particular rate to get it spread out evenly. Next slide. And then, simple manure spreaders or tow behind spreaders from a tractor are also another way of doing that. Next slide. And so this is what it looks like with 10 tons per acre. That's not even a quarter of an inch. That's almost an eighth of an inch. 17 tons per acre is a quarter of an inch. So it's a light dusting, but it has an amazing effect on your soil. And so we can also help build on-site compost systems. There is an amendment to SB 1383, AB 2346 that allows for compost infrastructure investments. It also allows for different kinds of compost, like your spent mushroom substrate can qualify for these rebates. And hang on a sec. And then you go back. Thanks. And then there's vermicompost. But this particular situation, we went to a ranch and the compost was getting a little smelly. It was a little anaerobic. The guy is doing a great job. He's doing all he can do everywhere on the ranch. And he said, it's really hard to get to this pile all the time. So I said, we have a really cool answer for that. It's called an aerated static pile system. So there's a little jumpy house blower right there, and it blows air through these perforated pipes. And so I just asked him if he would give it a shot. And I said, there's going to be no change in your materials handling. You usually scoop up that stall waste and you put it in a pile. So what I'm asking you to do is scoop it up and put it in a pile on top of aerated pipes. And then that blower blows like every 15 minutes for about 30 seconds, and it keeps air going. And so this man over here on the right is watering the pile to get it set up. You get it to about 60% moisture, and then you cover it with this finished compost blanket. So that keeps it nice and insulated, keeps microbial pressure from the outside going in, and then of course, from the inside, it's really, really microbial, so it's going, working from the inside out. And it's kind of a set it, let it, and forget it kind of situation, so it's a really good system for someone who's managing a lot of different, things on their ranch. And when they finished with that first pile of compost, they said it's the best compost they've ever had, so I thought that was pretty good, pretty good thing. Next slide, please. And so wrapping up, I just wanna say that, our RCD was the first in the state. It was created to support farmers, and it was created by farmers. The Sustainability Department and the RCD have developed this program over the last 5 years. Compost builds the soil structure, adds water holding capacity, it enhances your fertilizer efficacy, so that's gonna reduce costs. It's really easy to sign up for the program, and funding is available to build on-farm compost infrastructure that we just discussed in the last slide. So I just want to say compost is the word of the day, so let's spread the word. And thank you. You can reach us at these emails. Jax is up top here, and then Eliza and our.
Thank you very, very much.
Really appreciate your time. Thank you.
So, before you step down, just any questions, left from the committee? Any committee member questions? Okay, so, we'll now move to, open public comment for item number 2, which is San Mateo County Composting Program. So anybody with comments or questions from the public, anybody who's in the room, public member with a question, did you have a question? Okay, we have a public person, is there another person in the room that had a question? Ron?
Yeah. If compost is the word of the day, but it's been a word for decades.
Absolutely.
And I would like to see before and after pictures. At some point, I know how good it can be. I mean, I've had a lot of experience with eating compost. Peter has too, I'm sure, when he was the mushroom factory, as we used to call it, down at the south of Escadero.
Yeah.
They take portion stables and use it for growing mushrooms. And then after there are growing mushrooms, what do you do? And they almost gave it away.
Yeah.
And I used a lot and put it on bare soil where there's no topsoil.
Right.
And it's miraculous.
Yeah.
You can see it. So I'd like to see crops, the before and after applications. Otherwise, keep up the good work.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, we'll put some of that in. We can do a before and after above ground.
Exactly. Yeah, if I had to do things all over, I'm retired now. If I had to do things all over, I would concentrate on what you don't see.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. That's the answer.
Thank you, Ron. Members of the public, anybody else present with a question or comment? Member of the public, Carrie Burke online, go ahead. I think she's muted. You can unmute. Yeah, now you're unmuted.
Good evening, Carrie Burke. I have a general question for RCD, as they originally mentioned that the purpose was to provide technical advice for landowners, but in the last few decades, I have noticed that they have been granted multi-million-dollar contracts to San Mateo County and other special districts, and just wondering what the current ratio of actual work that's done for farmers on individually owned properties and the value of that work versus the amount of work that they do for public agencies. Thank you.
Take a stab at that. I don't have, figures on hand, but I would say that the core of what we do is very much technical assistance and, direct support to farmers. And so especially like Doug and I's work, I would say it's the majority. And then, we do partner with public agencies, and a lot of times the projects that we're doing are for the community and to benefit the individuals of the community. So there's sort of it takes a village to get to some of these mutual, landscape scale goals. But at the same time, we're building ponds, a pond on one farm here. So it really, like I said, there's a lot of creativity and diversity to the type of work we do. So it's all of the above, I would say, and definitely still really focused on individual needs and yeah. So I can't give you percentages, but I think it's definitely well balanced, I would say.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments, from the public? Go ahead, state your name, please.
Hi, my name's Jackson Myers. I was interested to work about the guys' grants and what they encompass. For the composting initiatives, for instance, like your infrastructure kind of supported and someone knows that needs to build necessary staples to hold compost or have a contraction with the air brake as well.
Yeah, so, through AB 2246, there's, the ability to fund, compost bays, spreading equipment, things that support the mandate like SB 13, which is to get the organic materials out of the landfill, out of our atmosphere and on the ground, like the carbon, fill up soil and, save water.
That's it. And then how large those grants are able to? And is it really relative to the size of the farm or kind of where you guys work with them?
This is not based on grants anymore. This is a state law. This is funded by, the cities within the states. Yeah.
And then I think like in terms of the actual projects, it does range too. So like a farm might sign up for a couple of tons or smaller amount of compost. And it, the value is what compost costs and then up to, tens and hundreds of tons being spread. And that would obviously increase the reimbursement rate. But at this point, we're able to fund all the projects that are available in our county. So bring them on.
I like putting compost, we've done this program a lot, I like putting my compost on in the fall. What are there budgetary concerns about waiting till the fall to do it?
No, I mean.
Are we gonna run out of money?
Yeah, it's the first come, first served program, so, it's always a good idea to, communicate with us and let us know what you're thinking as far as, your application time, and that way you can, give some consideration to that, but it's always, something that, we know that fall is really the busy time. It's also when rangeland operators want to apply compost, because the ground is pretty hard, so it's easier for trucks to move around and reduce compaction. But generally, there's enough.
Yeah, I guess I would also add that our county and cities, the amount of funding that they're putting towards compost procurement exceeds what we're able to spread directly in our county at this point. So we're even partnering with our CD of Santa Cruz and Monterey to like reach some bigger projects. But I think knowing that we really want to prioritize at keeping our compost and our dollars in our community. So I think that would be something like, yeah, let us know. Hey, I roughly ordered this much around this time and we want to.
Yeah, I have, and you guys ran that last year.
Well, this is a new.
You guys have been very generous.
Yeah, thank you. No, but this is a new kind of situation where this is the first year that we have a secured funding pot from all of the cities and the county. And so whereas in the past it was kind of a pilot and it was being funded by the state, this is like a direct to farmer.
They were relying
pipeline.
on Cal Cycle grant money for the recovery of waste products, and so, they had choices and, did not fund all the way in some of the cities, so, that's where that limitation happens, but, it's important to recognize that, everybody gets a chance at this and, been a really very good customer and I really appreciate that. But we just have to communicate and we can, project projects so that it's all.
Thank you. So I'm gonna close public comment, for this, which is item number 2, and begin member discussion on this item. Moving on, Peter Markey, you had a discussion, your hand was raised, and Daniel Theobald, you're next. Go ahead.
RCD, wasn't it soil conservation before they changed order to RCD?
Yes, like I said, it originally was called the Soil Conservation District, and that was the focus, and still is. I think it just became clear that the community at large had other resource concerns in mind as well, so it got, I don't know when that change took place, it's been some time, but.
Yeah, similarly with the federal counterpart, the Soil Conservation Service, which was created just right after the Dust Bowl. When the federal government realized that soils are most precious resource, they actually switched their name, somewhere in the nineties, I think, to the Natural Resource Conservation District. Or Service.
Wondering, if RCD has done anything around microplastics and testing
Yes.
microplastics?
Yes,
It's an
absolutely.
increasing concern, and I
Yes.
don't want to be spreading microplastics all over my farm.
Yes, actually, we worked on a study with, was funded by one of the cities in the program to look at the particular suppliers that we work with to see what, what the situation was on microplastics. And interestingly enough, I got 5 different samples, and the one sample that was bad is the one that we don't use. And I was really excited to see that. The rest of them were within a fraction of a fraction. So how do we ever get away from that? That's an upstream problem. And so that's where your feedstocks become a really, really important thing. So when looking at a supplier, we're really interested in what goes in the recipe, the biggest offender is baling twine. So from hail bales. Hay bales, so that's always kind of a surprise to me, but it's not a little plastic cap.
Okay, one last question, 2 last questions, and we'll have to wrap it up.
Just a quick comment that we worked a lot with you guys, and you guys have been awesome to work with. It's been a really good program, and it's for similar question to about spreading and the next compost. We worked with quite a few different vendors, and I think Doug recommended to work with Z-Vest spreaders, or Z-Vest compost to start is called in Gilroy, and they're really good, and the spreading is very even. So just as a recommendation for all, I recommend it, yeah.
Thank you. Yes, James.
So if I'm curious, if a farm produces its own compost, can a farmer get subsidies for using its own compost?
I think that's for situations like that. I think that you'd have to look at the specific operation, how much compost is being produced. Generally, usually if the compost is being produced on site. Or depends if there's like an investment into the infrastructure to help generate that compost. That's still a new side of the program. We're figuring out how much to work with.
Or you could sell yours to me and I'll sell mine to you.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah, if that's something you're interested in, we can definitely talk more about.
Yeah, I'd be curious about that kind of stuff, because I mean, it's financial viability of farms is increasingly hard. And if there's subsidies like that available, then maybe it's a pathway to making something more sustainable for the farm to survive.
It encourages more composting, and that's really the impetus for the law.
Great, thank you very, very much. Thank you. So we will now move on to item 3, AAC procedural rules amendments by Summer Burleson. Summer, I believe you're online tonight, is that correct?
Yes, good evening.
Good evening. Let me know if you wanted to proceed, if you wanted us to read it, if you wanted to read it now that it's the final copy and we're to vote on it. I'm assuming you made the changes that we all put in the last few meetings, and there wasn't any changes to those changes, is that correct?
That's correct. Yes, thank you. So what's before you for consideration and vote is the proposed amendments as reviewed and agreed upon changes. It's limited to only those changes that were agreed upon in the March, April, and May AAC meetings that were discussed in those meetings. And that is what is included in attachment B as track changes. You can see the track changes. And then in attachment C is the resolution for the committee's consideration to adopt these amendments, and a clean final copy is attached to that resolution. And again, the proposed amendments are limited, the changes are limited to only those changes that were discussed in the past AAC meetings of March, April, and May, and agreed upon by the committee members for change.
Okay, and you'll begin reading at resolution attachment A, is that correct?
You would like me to read the resolution? Is that correct? Sorry.
The bylaws in their entirety with the changes, that you would put on to the website. So I thought that encompassed each bylaw when it changed, but is that not correct?
No, this is this is.
This
So,
okay.
Like the new complete.
yeah, attachment B shows the changes that are being proposed as track changes, so you can see in the different colored text the changes, and these reflect what was agreed upon by the committee through previous meetings, and is limited to only those changes. And then a clean copy of that, so accepted track change version, kind of a final clean copy, is part of made as an attachment to the actual resolution. So it's the same version. It's just one you can actually, it's easier to see the changes. So if you reviewed them and, have been taking notes, you'll be able to match exactly what was approved and see that that's what was made as change.
I think you reference it as attachment A, so I think that is what I'm looking at. So that's
sorry. Yes, sorry about that. It's attachment A to attachment C. Sorry. So so it's an attachment to the resolution. Sorry about that. So the resolution, just to clarify, is attachment C. That's what's being requested for vote, and that is a resolution a resolution adopting amendments to the procedural rules of the San Mateo County Agricultural Advisory Committee, attached to that resolution as attachment A, but it's in order after the resolution. Sorry, it's not staff report attachment A, it's attachment A to the resolution. Sorry for that confusion.
No, it's okay. I'm gonna let you read each section and the line by line, and so then we can just proceed with the vote.
You'd like me to read each change?
I thought you were gonna read the bylaws with all the changes now that they're complete, and read them to put them into the record so that we could vote to accept them. Is that not correct?
It's not necessary to read word for word. They're shown in attachment B. And so hopefully the committee has had a chance to review and confirm that those changes are limited to only those that were previously discussed and agreed upon. If there are particular questions, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, so did everybody get a chance to read them before the meeting? Okay, so you saw the changes and the reduction, the changes, yeah. Yes, Ron.
I think that you should allow public comment before you consider the, bylaws that have been proposed. The last 3 meetings, the first meeting, there was no opportunity for public comment. The second meeting, if there wasn't an opportunity until the committee had moved on to another item on the agenda, and the committee had already made its decisions and did its deliberations and made its decisions. And the same, for all practical purposes occurred the last meeting. I think you should allow public comment now before the committee considered this first of 2 times it has to consider adopting the bylaws.
Thank you.
And I think you need to have public comment before consideration and consideration before the vote.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. The template that I was given, says to ask the questions of the staff first, and then to move on for public comment. So that would be my next, after the questions from the staff, but we will not move for vote. I just wanted to make sure we all have in front of us the right stuff, that we're all looking at the same thing, but I appreciate it. And I apologize about that, I did not catch that, and do that properly then. So. Do we have questions to staff from the committee first? And then we'll move on. The next step is a public comment. Everybody has read it. That was my question as a committee member, and I want to make sure we're all looking at the same thing. And there are not any other questions. Peter Markey?
That we're gonna go through the revised last copy read to us and then vote out on each one rather than just voting.
Peter, through the chair, can you please speak up so I can, having a hard time, so I don't think our Alice and pick you up either.
Yeah, it was my understanding that we were going to have read to us the final copy, each part and vote on each one individually. Is that still the case or?
Yeah, that was something that we discussed doing. Summer, remember, we discussed that when we went through the discussions, and we discussed that, and we discussed doing the changes, and we did that line by line and section by section. But yeah, you make a good point. Were we going to vote section by section? I think we were, as opposed to voting as a whole. But then again, we've already discussed section by section already, and that part's kind of done. So I'd like to get some feedback from both of the staff and the committee members and what you all would like to do. Peter and then James.
What I'd like to see is section read to us on like C, and then we discuss it. And then public discuss it, and then we go on.
Okay, well, definitely there's gonna be room for public comment after our questions here, and then we're gonna vote on it, but if you wanna go section by section is what you're saying, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what,
Through the chair, if we could get maybe Brian's opinion on.
Okay,
understand it is.
Brian, did you have something you wanted to say?
Yes, Madam Chair, if it's within the committee's preference, if the committee wants to go through section by section, you can do that. I just want to emphasize it's really not necessary to take a separate vote on each of the sections. It's going to add a lot of time to this. You can, if you want to go through each of the sections and consider them and have discussion, you can do that. But I would strongly recommend that once you get through all the sections, that you just take a single vote on the bylaws as revised.
Thank you. James, what were you gonna say?
Yeah, I was gonna say that I felt like we had been going through section by section, so I'm okay voting on the whole document. Yeah.
As a whole. Okay, I think maybe it'd be prudent to do a vote on what the committee members would like to do, section or section, or as a whole, and then open it up to the public for their comments, or do I do public comments first?
I'd like to hear public comment first.
Yeah, okay. Public comment first, I'm gonna move to that and then go up to here, so I'm gonna go a little different than this. I'm so sorry, I forgot your name. Thank you, my dear.
So maybe a compromise, I just loaded the whole amendment into Claude and asked it to summarize. And it's not that long, I could just read that, bring everybody up to speed, or we could
You know, because it just seems, in my humble opinion, reading what we just, I feel like it's me, sorry, reading what you have discussed over again, seems like a not a good use of time, so I'm just offering a possible solution.
I appreciate that. I'm concerned about doing a summarized version because the topic itself is so detailed. It was actually the very details that we had to really pinpoint, and we're gonna lose a lot on it. I appreciate the offer though. Did somebody else from the public have a comment? Ron, did you have another comment? I can't see you behind Roy.
There's several things I think that need to be considered before you adopt new bylaws. One, I think you need to revisit the opportunity for other people to chair the committee that aren't farmers per se. I was persuaded by the argument that was presented by the agricultural commissioner, Karen. That just because you're a farmer doesn't make you gifted being presiding over a legislative body like this. Someone who is not a farmer might be more capable of leading this committee. And in reviewing the last few meetings, the chair graciously offered to resign if there was another farmer that wanted to be chair. And I think that we're being confronted with the fact that there is another farmer that would like to be chair. And I think that it would be good if we could to give that person an opportunity to do that before the next election in chair or vice chair in October. And,
Who is the farmer you're referring to? I'm sorry, I don't follow.
there is another farmer.
Okay, well, right now, a farmer can become chair.
Yes, there is another farmer, and he graciously offered to resign if that was in fact that there was somebody else that wanted to be in chair. And given that last October, there was no process.
I think we have a lot of farmers that would do very well as chair.
Excuse me, I'm not gonna argue with you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I mean, that's one of the problems. I think we need to be president of this committee is that you comment on everybody's comments after they've given them. And that's taken a lot of time. And that's one of the reasons why we're here in this building tonight, because it's not getting your forte to expedite the meeting. And I think somebody else maybe should be given the chance, not in October, but sooner than October. And I appreciate if you consider that. And if we go back, you go back and look at the bylaws in that respect as to who can be president or vice president. And further, in that same context, that there's some assurance that it'll be on the agenda every October. The Board of Supervisors has on their agenda tomorrow conversion of business person to a farmer.
Time's almost up, just to let you know.
Okay,
Is that over? Okay, sorry.
I think even what I pointed out earlier, as far as infraction of the Brown Act, last three meetings, that one of the, you can cure that infraction by allowing more time for public comment from myself or anybody else.
Thank you. I'll bring that up with the county who is.
No, you run the meeting, not the county. The chair needs to run the committee. That's one of the problems I think that this is committee is that you're not going to gain the confidence to run the meeting.
Okay, well, thank you. I appreciate your input. I do want to say though that the reason we're in this building is because, and Robbie can attest to this, we've been working together on this, is that we're trying to find a place that works where the chair, whether it's me or somebody else, can actually see everybody. I wasn't able to see hands raised, and so we've been working on the layout for the last few meetings, and that's why we've tried this place, and we're gonna try some other places. And we've all done that in a way that all works for the committee, so that's the actual reason. It's not because of me
The
personally.
reason is time constraints, Madam Chair. And that you're using up a lot of time, just like you are right now. And.
Okay, I'm sorry, but your time is up. Thank you, though. I do appreciate it. Moving on, I think we do have farmers. We have Crystal, we have Peter, we have James, we have John, we have Ryan, we have Cole. We have many farmers that are very capable of being chair, and I would love to see you guys do that if you ever decide to do it. But we do have a lot of farmers in there, so I don't think we should change, for that, for the bylaws, and that's being on board with discussing the bylaws. Thank you very much for your questions. And so now we're gonna go ahead. We have had several meetings and discussions on these bylaws. And Bobby and I discussed it as well. And we've discussed as a committee that it is time to vote on the bylaws. So Robbie,
Through the chair, if you could just check online and then close public comment.
Thank you.
If nobody else has any comment.
sure. So is there anyone?
Through the chair, thank you, Robbie. There are no hands raised on Zoom. Thank you.
Okay, so with the vote, first, does somebody want to make a motion to vote to we'll do them as a section by section or vote on them as a whole? Do we have a motion? Peter, were you interested in section by section? Did you want to move that, or did you want to just do a whole and vote as a whole?
Whatever the committee desires, is fine.
There we go, chance to read them. Okay, everybody did get a chance to read them. We confirm that. Okay, do I have a motion to vote on them as a whole then? If that's what y'all prefer, whole?
I'll motion to approve president.
Okay, and do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so all those in favor of the bylaws with the changes that were put in, and the changes that we rejected, and then subsequently the other changes by Summer and the county and our committee. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed?
One, here.
Peter, you're opposed?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so the ayes have it and it passes. Thank you very much for working so hard on that at these meetings. Next. Okay, the work plan, Debbie Schechter from Schechter Consulting. Hello. Hi. Let me work us for your purpose of this where.
It's great to see you all. For the folks that I have not met, I am a meeting facilitator. I have a contract with the county to support boards and commissions with meeting effectiveness and work plan development. So I've been working with the Agricultural Advisory Committee. And last time you all had a really successful session where you identified a number of potential goals and activities, which are in your packet. Does anybody need a copy of the notes from that last session? Yeah.
I'll take one.
Okay. There's a few here, so if you want to pass them around, give them to members of the public, that would be great. And then about the those students. Thank you. So I am going to go over some quick group agreements in a minute. Actually, I'll do that right now. And this is just to make sure that our conversation is effective and that we all get to participate. Want to ask you to listen for understanding, so make sure that you are listening to your fellow commissioners and that you're trying to understand what they're saying. As for the speakers, respectfully, I know that's one of the goals of your committee is making respectful. I'll ask you to share the air, so we want to allow time for everyone to share their ideas. Let the facilitator guide the process, that's me, so if you have any concerns about what we're doing, please let me know, and then if you could silence your phones. So, things like we're on the podium here, but it's because we gotta agree with these things, so we can have a great discussion of your work plan. Yes? Can I get a thumbs up?
Yay.
Okay, all right, so this is our agenda for the next almost an hour. I just did this first part, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna quickly review the potential goals that you all came up with last time. And activities, and then we're gonna hear a little bit of input from the county about which of the goals are most in alignment with your role as a committee. And which are, in the county's view, are actually feasible. We wanna make sure that you all come up with goals that you can accomplish. And then we also are going to consider the balance between your ongoing work in terms of permit reviews and such, and the goals that you've come up with. So again, we want to make sure that your goals are realistic and feasible, that you're not fighting off more than you can shoot. After we do that narrowing down, we are going to form some subcommittees. And we may actually have time to start drafting your work plan in those subcommittees today. We'll see how far we can get, and then we'll finish up with identifying some next steps. So, you have the notes in front of you, of the goals that you all came up with. And what I did, we kind of roughly categorized them last time, and I did a little more of that categorizing in the notes. So, what you all came up with is roughly 5 categories of goals. So the first one relates to policies, permitting and regulation. And kind of the goal there was to simplify permitting and regulations, and develop policies and regulations to support county agriculture. The second category was around community engagement and coordination. And your goal was to engage the farming community and coordinate with agriculture related partners to hear ideas and collaborate on approaches. You had another goal around resources for farmers, providing resources to preserve and promote farming across generations. Another goal around market development and economics to increase revenue for San Mateo County growers. And then a final category around committee operations to improve the effectiveness and efficiency of the AAC. So before we hear some thoughts from the county, any kind of overall reactions to these goal categories and the activities underneath them? There's a lot of ideas here. So we definitely need to narrow them down, but anything that, how do you feel like those goal categories are, you know, kind of roughly what you had in mind? you all did a lot of work, it's a lot, like I said, there's a lot of ideas there. Okay, well, yeah.
Well, I was just gonna say that, we probably should evaluate, the areas of focus based on the potential to, support, improve, maintain agriculture on the coast is our primary goal.
Yes.
So that should be like the measuring stick, I think, that we measure the different efforts.
Yeah, thank you. That is clearly the overall goal, which we noted in the meeting. I didn't say today. But yes, that's definitely it. And then, other things to keep in mind are the things that you heard from county staff about where they could use your input. So, yeah, so, Sophie, would you like to share a few words about, the county's thoughts on, any specific ones of these that you feel like are more, less feasible, yeah.
So hello, everyone. For those I haven't met, I'm Sophie Mateo. I'm the Assistant Director of Planning and Building, and it's nice to be here again as you consider your first work plan. This group of activities in particular, review and provide input and recommendation on PUD permits, or permits, willing to not audit non-renewals, for our neighbor housing projects. This is really central to the reason for the AAC's existence. And so I think, it makes a lot of sense for this to be included in the resulting work plan. And it's not really a change from what the AAC does now, but it is one of the fundamental purposes of the AAC. This group of items here was sort of generated with planning and building staff based on projects that have been worked on or exist in the planning and building department. They are at various stages. I would say for most of these, the ball is really in the county's court, and they are not necessarily things we are imminently working on, but they are things with the exception of the LCP amendments for farm and worker housing, which we are working on now. But these are all clearly areas where we need the AAC's input. We need the subject matter expertise for any policies that are developed or revised to make sure that they are effective. I did point out for the committee operations about improving the effectiveness and efficiency of the AAC. I think with regard to more legal trainings and parliamentary procedures trainings, this is something that we plan to provide to the AAC and to all our committees on an annual basis. And so I'm not sure that this necessarily needs to be represented in the work plan for you to, get that training on a annual basis. For this group of items, which is about market development, giving input to the county sourcing practices to increase the share of produce for county-run and county-funded institutions. I did have an opportunity to speak with some other departments at the county about this. This to me seems like a great idea for something where I know there's been a lot of work on this. There are programs that are exist right now to increase this, and I think there could be a lot of synergy with some county work around local procurement and larger procurement efforts in the county. So I was really pleased to hear that idea, and I think if the committee wishes to include that as one of its goals, that's certainly something that can be viable as a work plan. And I think that, let's see. Policy permitting and regulation. I think there's definitely some overlap with some of the specific policy projects that are listed here. So again, I think that the committee, if they were really interested in working on this, could choose to focus on specific, maybe a package of specific policy projects that they wanted to provide input on. Like for example, if we are developing a hoop house policy, here are the things that really are most important to include. Or, if the members of the AC wanted to sort of focus it more of at a higher level about, you know, broadly, what are the challenges with permitting and with being a farmer in SMC, that could be shaped a little bit differently as one example. Yeah. It's a page.
Oh, it's on the other side.
Oh, it's on the other side.
Oh, sorry about that. Daniel, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I really like that, and, I had a conversation with somebody recently from another county. And they said something I want anyone to get offended about, because we've all inherited this system, but they said San Mateo County is like the most overregulated county for farming in the US, was their opinion. And I don't know if that's true, but that is a commonly held opinion. And I think one thing we could do as a committee is sort of review, the regulations that apply to farmers and see if there are opportunities to deregulate. What we talk about, like developing a hoop house policy. Well, in many cases, the best policy is to be silent on it and let farmers do what they need to do to grow if it's not going to hurt, the environment or anything like that. Part of the problem we have is that anytime rules are created, there's always unintended consequences and side effects as well. So personally, I'd like to see an opportunity to go through the regulations and say, is this regulation actually accomplishing the intent or the goal? Should we just be silent on this topic because it's not actually solving the problem? Or maybe it can be improved so that, it's actually working for farmers rather than against them. Because a lot of times the goal is to protect the farmer, but then in practice, it ends up actually harming the farming economy.
Yeah, and there could be multiple ways for the AAC to sort of shape or package that as a work plan item or items, like you suggested, you could take a look at a range of different regulations and review those and provide input, or you could sort of take one policy area and really drill down on that one that you found to be especially important or especially relevant these days.
I just wanted to say before we go to Peter, I think that what your comment, Daniel, is related to the first bullet under this, is about synthesizing all permitting relevant to ag properties businesses. So I just added what you said.
Beautiful, thank you.
Yeah, like the hoop house, regs in our county is a bit, you can put up a hoop house, providing that you keep growing the product from the ground, but if you put it in a container, you need a permit. But like Daniel said, if we could bring that to our committee and review it and see if we could tweak it to make it soften to help the farmer in a different way would be nice, like echoing on what he was saying.
I agree with Daniel. I think one of the biggest issues that I see for me, and what I think we see a lot coming through our committee, is it is so overregulated that people just do things without the permits because it's too hard and cumbersome, and they just get these after the fact permits.
I think the question that I have is, I think as it pertains to things like hoop houses and agritourism, I don't think the county would be very able to change events in both space and conditions. I'm curious on the topic of farm worker housing. I don't think that we realistically get. And just the reason why I asked that is just because I know housing is kind of unique. It's a pretty unique type of policy that's very distinctive from things like agritourism. So the reason why I bring this up is because I think there are a lot of creative solutions that we as farmers can do to address the farm worker housing crisis in the community. It would require some creative regulations and maybe the kinds of that. But I'm wondering if that's kind of if that's something that is not realistic in terms of where our important maps we looked at and for that to account just because it's such a big topic. Yeah, so I'm going to just work with that.
Well, I think certainly the revisions that we are working on to the LCD amendments specifically for farm worker housing are aimed at making it easier to build and streamlining the process. So We did bring that to the AAC, I think for last September or so, got some feedback there. As this, we continue to work on this, probably before and after we take it to the coastal commission for early consultation. I think it makes total sense, whether the AAC wants to put it on the plan or not, for us to consult the AAC and get input. As to the question of, different types of solutions, I think, it's hard to say without hearing what those are, but, that's something you could, opt to.
And to the broader question of, are there things, other things here that the county feels like is not worth the AEC investing time on, or is not in their role? Is there anything that you see up here that you would want to kind of caution them? That focus alone. Okay, and in the meantime, yeah, Peter.
I'm working on examples. An example, the committee some time ago during COVID, wanted to revise the agritourism. And it was submitted to the county, and here hasn't came back or anything. The committee asked many times that it was started at one time for reviewing each Williamson Act contract, and then it just stopped. So what I'm trying to say is all those sounds good, but if we do our part and then it just gets dropped and with the counties in, it doesn't go anywhere.
Well, right, so that's why I'm asking the county to share if there are things that they feel like would not be worth your time to do, because you have heard of the things that they are interested in. So James and then maybe Sophie does it.
Yeah. So my other comment to add to that was back when we had the retreat here, I had also brought up about the agritourism stuff. And we still haven't really heard any kind of progress report of where it is, because that was like fully completed by us and sent to county to go straight to the supervisors.
Not really, that's what
Yeah, there was an update on agritourism. Under, I think, the planning liaison report that I did. Just about the role of the planning liaison. Currently, it is in the county's, or basically, we don't wanna, we have your input. I have the documents, I believe. And when, so, I have to go through some of the minutes and stuff and figure out. And look at, I think some of the changes. I have the documents, I believe, that I need. To implement the changes that were requested and given by AAC. During that time period, so now it's just finding the time, staff time, which is not very easy to do that. But if it's on the work plan. We'll be on the work plan and that will be more prioritized.
Yeah, so I'm hearing the intent is to bring that back to the commission at some point, and that's why.
I can't want to go to the board.
I'm sorry?
I don't want it to come back here. I want it to go to the board.
No, it's supposed to come back here because it was our.
Okay.
We want their feedback.
So let's bring it back to the work plan discussion. I mean, I'm hearing the examples of where you feel, you have said that you felt like you prioritized some things, you gave input, and then it didn't go anywhere. So part of what we want to do today is get agreement on what your priorities are, for the county to hear that, and then part of the work plan development is putting together a timeline for each of these things, and the county will have some input in that as well, because they'll be able to tell you, well, if you want to give input into X policy, this is when it's gonna be happening, and so some of this stuff will be, you want to work jointly together to figure out what are the steps, and what is the timeline for these different issues that you're gonna be.
I feel that, we're not gonna think or hit on each policy tonight.
That's right.
But I think of a format, like Daniel said, is if we can agendize different items, one is greenhouse policy, review it, and then give our suggestions to go back to the county, so it can be softened. And if we just adopt that form of that with greenhouses, put in abroad, that policies come to us, so we review one at a time, not at all at once in one meeting, and then we can have our comments to send back to them. We can chip away at one policy at a time.
So that's a good approach as far as a step. What I'm gonna ask you to do is something that's a little bit harder, which is actually to narrow down this long list of things. Because there's no way that you're gonna be able to do all of these things. And so before you do that, I wanted to see if you, again, if you have anything to add about what you feel like is really not realistic for them to be focused on, or it's not productive.
So I think that creating cool new policies, that is not a great fit for a work plan for a volunteer, advisory committee of this nature, just because of time constraints. So I think things that are a little bit more targeted to providing input on a specific policy area or a specific regulation, for example, to reviewing applications for different types of permits, which again is one of the central to the reason for the AAC. Those are totally worthwhile and great opportunities or great places for AAC's active participation. I want to address quickly, Peter, you mentioned the Williamson Act. We've said a couple of times, I think, that it's not that we are not bringing that back. We haven't done an audit in a while, so we are working on that now. It's taken a while to come back to it. We fully intend to bring that back to the AAC. So whether or not that's included in the work plan, that's something that we would bring back to an AAC when it's in.
I hear your words and I understand that. Problem is, could be the staff of the county or whatever, but it started as a role. And it was, we're going back years that we asked, the committee asked, Farmer asked, if it could take a few of them every year and we could review them and keep, and that was starting, and then it just stopped. And that was my fault, and it stopped for a long time. And so, but anyways.
Well, so thank you for explaining what happened in the past. I think not all the people were here when that happened. And so I think, I understand, I appreciate that. And this is really an opportunity to look forward and for the staff to hear what it is that you do want to focus on, and that will help guide their work with you all. So the work plan is not just a work plan for you all, it involves them as well, because they will have to help support you in achieving those things. I want to hear from some other people first, and then I'll come back to you. Yeah, no.
I just want to say I really appreciate the county and the collaboration. The work that I've been doing with Robbie, the past, since you became liaison, has been amazing. It's been really wonderful to work with you. And now you guys doing this work plan and the way you listen to everything, the discussions about the bylaws. So I really feel like this is really coming together nicely, and I really appreciate that. So I kind of feel like, that it's going forward in that kind of momentum.
Thank you. Peter, go ahead.
Okay. The reason why I bring this up is not to ask for a claim, but
I understand.
to explain the history, so the history could be presented, so we can learn from this and not repeat it.
Right.
And if I don't bring it up and we don't say it, it could be the same old thing.
I hear.
And we're trying to prevent that.
I hear you. So that's why I'm saying what gets put in your work plan is shared with the county, and they will need to support that. So if you say, if you decide, and, I think they need to be involved in this, because again, it has to be realistic, but if you say, we want to review this many million to that contracts each year, and that's part of your work plan, then that's the documentation that will help them prioritize what they need to bring. So, James and then Natalie, and then I'd like to move forward. Yeah.
So I'm curious to kind of hear from the county, because we're talking about stuff to go in work plans, and we're talking about kind of like our role in providing input. And for me, a couple of things that I really liked from the county was when you guys did come to us way back when for the LCP amendments and you were talking to us about the changes you guys are thinking about. I thought that was really great. And then you guys also did that a few years ago about potential water issues for farm labor housing for very small operators. And so that was also something that I really appreciated. And I would like to see more of that from the county when it's still at that kind of developmental stage and what you guys are thinking. What's been hard has been like some of the other stuff where it's like you guys have just put out something and we haven't been able to give our input before it gets implemented and voted on and stuff like that. So for me, I would love to have, and for us, it's hard to put something like that on the work plan because it's coming from the county, what they're thinking about working on.
Right.
So I would love to have stuff like that on the work plan, but it needs the county effort there
Yeah.
to be that first step.
So what you could do there, so what I was starting to do was number these big goals, because I'm gonna ask you to vote on what your highest priorities are. But one is that you could just have as one of your work plan goals, you know, provide input into county policy issues, or whatever. And then that would be this list of things from that they gave you as they bring it. So that could be its own separate goal.
And it can also be structured as provide input on how county policies, for example, or such as. So it doesn't mean you're definitely gonna work on all these this year. It doesn't mean, it's just sort of to illustrate the types of things you're gonna be involved.
Someone else had a.
I had,
Was it just?
yeah, thanks. Just to go off of what Peter and James said, to add to it, is, would it be appropriate, and to go with what you just said as well, would it be appropriate to have in the work plan, one of the items be, addressing, items that they're sort of fallen off of the side of the road, if you will, items that we put in place, like agritourism or, something like that, but then, but never, you know, it's kind of been out there for a few years, because if we have, and we say, okay, we'll do it, it'll be, okay, that's gonna be our goal, addressing these items, and it's its own separate thing, maybe that would be a positive way to work on it, because I do say, unfortunately, we've had a lot of stuff come before us that never came before us, that, like, you know, even public members.
Yeah.
Well, came before us, and otherwise we would have done something about it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hearing the concern about things that were on the radar and then dropped off. And so what I would ask you to do for those things is identify what those are. And that's kind of the second level.
Okay.
So the first thing, and I'm gonna ask you to do this now. So I'm numbering each of these main goals, and I added as a new one, provide input on county policies as they come up. So these are on there, I numbered those already. So we have 6 main goals. And I'm gonna ask you if you can narrow that down to 3. And I'm just gonna do a simple dot vote exercise where you get 3 dots each. Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. I know I shared some stuff with Eliza and our RCD, and I just want to give her an opportunity to say, you know, something if you want about the goals, that she's looked at the goals, so, she's covered the county, if you want, like.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, does that work, the flow?
That means everything.
Yeah, I think, yeah. Hopefully,
No,
I'm sure you're.
No, I think,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I think that this is really helpful because it does synthesize so many of the key goals and themes that continue to recur. And I do think prioritizing actionable items is going to be, it's going to have the most impact, which is gonna feel really good, I think, for you all as a committee and for the county. So to that end, the policies, permitting regulations obviously is a core piece of the work, the recommendations that you can make, and also the county really works at their own pace on those things, and so it's not maybe gonna have the most immediate, you know, return on investment, so I would prioritize things that, you know, such as when you all put together the retreat and you worked on like the vibe and the tone and like resources for farmers, that those kinds of like actionable things that I think you're now seeing the return on, so to that end, I think the number 4, which I can't, yeah, community engagement, that kind of thing is something that you like, that's well within your power and your, if you allocate resources there, I think you will see the benefit of that, and then, you know, keeping the policies up, but not putting all of your eggs in the policy basket. And then I do want to also just reiterate, like, I can be working on policy with the county on the side as well. I know, like, I have time for that, so whereas you all have a finite amount of time and resources, I can also like spend extra time on those things, so I would sort of volunteer myself for that numbers 1, 2, 1, and 6. But yeah, so I don't have anything super specific. I think these all really synthesize the need, but give yourself something that's gonna feel really good.
Yeah, thank you for that. That's really helpful. And that reminds me of, I think you sort of said this, but thinking about how some of these things might be longer term and some might be more shorter term immediate impacts, and maybe have, you know, kind of a combination of space. So this first step, I'm gonna ask you to prioritize the categories. So pick 3. And then after that, I'm gonna give you more dots to prioritize the activities under the categories that you select, because you don't, this permitting list is like super long, right? It's, you can, you're not gonna be able to do all these things. So just to give you a sense of what's happening next. So, I'll just ask you to come up and put your doubts on the category titles that are most important to you, so pick 3. And we added this new one that's provided in our highway plan. And don't forget the one on the other side. All right, everybody put all the doubts up? Did anybody not put all the doubts up? Okay. So then we were done. This one, provide input on county policy with a map got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Policies, permitting and regulations, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Market development and economics got 2. I mean, got 4. Committee operations got 0, which is good because it's kind of said many of those things. When we have them right here. Resources for farmers. Got 2, and community engagement got 4. So, okay, we have 2 clear top ones. Which is the policies and permitting and county policies as they come up. And then we're tied between market development and economics and community engagement.
Did you put up there what we talked about before that was on there? I didn't see that there. It's improving the irrigation water.
Yeah, that's on.
Number 5.
Yeah. So what do you all think about this tie between market development and economics and community engagement? Sounds like both of those are important things.
I think they actually fit pretty well together. You could just combine them.
For me, I think 4 is a nice actionable item that you can have like that checklist to do, like, we did this, or we were able to do this over the year, each year. Where it's like you're meeting other farmers, bring them in, and I think that's a nice neat little item, but it could incorporate that as well.
And I like that number 4 has opportunity for the community, farmers from the community to come and share their issues. So it's not just people, on the committee coming up with those ideas, which then I think, in some sense, will probably bring up a lot of these topics. So it's kind of a nice.
I know there was none for provide irrigation water for farms, but we've been having an abundance of water lately. I lived here where there was a drought, there's no water, the water in the creek was drying off. That's something that should not be ignored.
I think that is a challenge that is difficult for a group like the AAC to address because it's more complex than what an advisory committee can effectively do within the scope of its work.
I was thinking more of our committee work with the RCD and stuff like that. Even if it's a develop a subcommittee from our committee with the RCD.
I can't speak for RCD. To me, that sounds like a very big and complex challenge. Maybe there are better ways to do that.
I could see like fitting into actually 4, like the RCD does a lot of work on that. So maybe even just to like share some of the things that we're doing and like emerging challenges and what's being addressed and what's possible, and then get to kind of share that, because I don't know that you all necessarily even kind of know what's going on behind the scenes, but then B, get to make sure that like there aren't some gaps in that, and that might be at least one way that we can take some input and provide more updates.
The reason why I was figuring it's maybe this subcommittee because there's some of us that's been here over time.
Yeah.
That's known the plans that were made in the past, the 60s, the 70s, 80s, developing for the community that maybe people that are more of the OCD lately don't know what we know, that we can put the two together to try to make stuff. Or not like that. As a farm, I know what my needs are for water and where a farm can have ideas that make it interesting and think about that.
Yeah, and we will definitely welcome your input and ideas, whether or not that it needs to take place here. Yeah, we're flexible, I think.
So I want you to hold that thought because it's clearly very important to you. And the point, a work plan can be like a living document, right? It's supposed to tell you what are the major things that you're gonna work on. That doesn't mean that if other stuff comes up, you can't work on it. I want to hear from Paul. Yeah.
Just a quick, I guess my 2 cents as it pertains to number 2, the market development, element of it. I think the theme of any number 1, which is kind of like number 1 and 6, what are kind of the main ones, is they're pretty broad in scope in terms of what major regulatory purposes. I think for number 2, at like, and maybe there's other folks who may feel have other ideas, but for me, I think a pretty straightforward policy that's a very like particular concise policy is just kind of regulated one of the times that language resourcing. Yes.
Yeah.
Have guidance says we can.
Yeah, so my thought was, since the community engagement now has more votes, is that could be a specific policy that you guys work on.
Yes, yeah, I agree with you. Well, I was gonna say, yeah, I think it's gonna get covered in the areas because it is so important and central.
So you have three categories now that you have agreed on that are the highest priorities, so. And 6 and 1 are a little bit related, but this is sort of like the things that are gonna come up over the next year from the county, and then 1 is sort of broader policies, permitting and regulation, and then the other one was community engagement and collaboration. So what I'm gonna ask you to do, so I think those are the 3 goals that we work for. What I'm gonna ask you to do now, I'm gonna give you more dots and ask you to pick 5 activities within those categories, so you only have 5 dots. And you can spread them between those goals, 1, 6, and 4. So pick the 5 that are most important to you.
Can you repeat that? I'm sorry, I didn't.
Yeah. So the goals that you all have decided are the most important are 1, 6, and 4. And I'm asking you to pick within those of the activities that are listed there. Pick a total of 5 activities that are most important to you. That you would prioritize. Thank you.
I was just curious if you could put multiple stickers on one topic, if you could from.
If you feel very strongly about it, yes.
Okay.
Good question.
Could you read the categories?
Yeah, I'm gonna, let me put stars by this, so you see, 1, 6, and 4, so 1 and 6 are actually, three pages here, so I'm gonna put a big asterisk by them. So you know that these are the ones that you've selected. So 1 is 2 pages long. And 4 is over here. I'm actually gonna move this one over so they're next to each other. Guys, this is a lot of moving pieces. Thank you. And don't forget, we have the first page of one is over there. All right, so come on up and put your red dots on activities. There is. Yeah. Today, we just want to look at measurements of 100%. Because it's a person.
Yes, I'll tell you that.
We're looking for.
Anyway.
Okay.
Just as long as I, you know, if I'm never going to do that, so I don't know. Actually, yes. There's some, I still don't feel like this, we kind of went through it and I was just like. I think that's somebody's house and else. Yeah, well, no. Here's that. Dude, don't assume you're that about. It's a random person. But, yeah, so just, if you just let me know when, then I'll just tell them, hey, just we get refunded.
Pretty not finished.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's see, there's a lot of different policies got a number of dots. It looks like this first one about synthesizing all permitting, making it easier, reviewing all regs for possible improvement, got the most. Okay, and some people put this as it's generally provided input on county policies as they come up, so you have some indication of priorities of among these. And did people not think that this was part of it, or these are not the same one too?
To me, it felt like there was a lot of repeats.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I mean, if you're gonna cover everything in there, it kind of covers other things, so it was kind of hard to, where do I put the sticker?
Yeah, okay.
For me, it's the new policies.
New policies.
That I think is the most important.
Okay. All right, great. And then pretty clearly, people like this idea of providing time at AEC meetings for farmers to present their needs and ideas. And then the various other policies got 2 or 3 votes. Farmers for housing got a lot. Agritourism got 4. So we'll compile that. So I think now is a good point to stop and see if there's public comment.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that.
We're not done, but.
We're not done, but thank you, still. So public comment, we will move on to, public comment for this item. We have anybody present with a public comment? Anybody online with a public comment? Or question? No? Okay, so
all right, so I'm not gonna look at the item, I just thought that would be a good place to.
I appreciate we do have a committee member with a comment. So we can, if we've confirmed there's no speakers online, Daniel Theobald, you address me on a side. Go ahead.
Thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to underscore what James was saying. I think from my perspective, you know, farming is broken on the coast, and so it can't be about status quo or even trying to, you know, get back to what we're doing in the past. We need to actually take a pretty aggressive action to help farmers survive. So I think, you know, as much as we can focus on those type of things, that's my personal feeling.
What were you in referencing up there for that? I'm sorry, I missed it.
No, just in general.
Yeah, well, and it sounds, what you said about your priorities reflect that, but it's about looking at and simplifying regulations, having good input into policy ideas and engaging the community. So, yeah.
I'd like to make a comment about that for this discussion, is that it's still imperative that we take from the farmers that have been here for hundreds, some of these people on this committee, 100 years farming here on the coast. So there's been things that we don't want to reinvent the wheel. And there were things that those people were also on committees that formed things. So we need to take from that knowledge and move forward, because if we're not, we're gonna move forward and just fall. And so we need to move forward with a purpose, and it's very important that we move forward with what is in the best interest of this committee and the farmers that we serve, not what is in the best interest because the individual person on this committee wants something, because that is wrong. Our role is to serve. Thank you.
Thank you for that. I don't believe that. So what I would like to do, to suggest that you do at this point, and I think we've talked about this as part of the potential process, is we have the work plan template sheet that you also have seen, that chart. And this is just a framework for doing your work plan. But what I'm gonna suggest is that we break into 3 subcommittees focused on the 3 main goals. And that those subcommittees meet outside of this meeting and before, when's the next meeting? July.
I just wanted to make a comment about the subcommittees. That you
Okay, one second.
Let me know. Thank you, my dear.
Thank you.
July 13th.
Okay. That the subcommittees meet before July 13th and fill out the goal and the activities that got the most votes under that goal, and really try to like flesh those things out and identify like who's responsible, what resources are needed, you know, do you need the county to support you with this? Is this something that the RCD can help with? You know, do you need to engage community members? Who needs to be involved? What an approximate timeline is? And really come up with a draft work plan for each of those goals. And so the idea would be your subcommittee would meet probably once before July 13th, and then on July 13th, each of the subcommittees would bring this to the full committee for review and comment, and then you could actually vote on a draft work plan. So how does that process sound to you? Yeah, no.
It sounds good. The only problem is, I really want to encourage people that if you're gonna sign up for a subcommittee, please actually attend, just because when we did the subcommittee for the workshop, we had 6 people sign up and there was only 3 that attended, and then it dwindled down to 2. So if you can't do, if anybody feels like subcommittees aren't gonna work for you, because I know it is a lot of commitment, see if maybe talk to Debbie about a different way to do it, because it just hurts the people who do attend. And they're, just.
Yeah, thank you for that.
So make sure you can actually be there.
And the idea is actually, it should not be a lot of work at this stage. Depending on how ambitious you are with your work plan, you can decide that you want your subcommittee to keep meeting. But for now, it's really just a subcommittee to develop the work. And I also would ask for each of the subcommittees that we have someone who's the lead, who just make sure that you pick a meeting date that everyone can make, and kind of takes the lead on putting it together, but we all are really involved. So how's that approach?
President.
Well, the way we're doing it now, and I guess what I'm proposing is that people volunteer to be on a subcommittee, and then Natalie could bless that if she likes.
Well, I certainly defer to you. I have enjoyed your, you've always been upfront and honest and helpful. And always doing things just in the best interest of the committee.
Thank you. And I should say, I don't know if Brian needs to comment on this, but these are ad hoc subcommittees. They're not like formal. They're just right now for the purpose of putting together the work plan. they're not meeting in public or anything like that.
And so there's no need for something that Brian mentioned before, and just to remind you guys that we discussed, is that there's no need for the recording of them, which you all were helpful in explaining to us before.
So do people feel like they know which one they want to pick to be on? The other point is that we want the subcommittees to be close to even in numbers.
Are you talking about forming a subcommittee of groups of three?
No, 3 groups. Not groups of 3. 3 groups for the 3 goals.
For the 3 top goals that they chose.
Yes.
I just realistically, I feel like, a lot of us aren't gonna participate. So,
Or not, even if you only have to meet once?
I think even that is, I think it's gonna be harder than it sounds, and so I'm just,
Okay.
be realistic, if it's gonna work, I'm wondering if there's an alternative, like, starting the next meeting half hour early,
Yeah.
and you do, and we all do subgroups.
We
prior
could do the
to
subgroup
meeting.
at the meeting, yeah.
Or
At the
carve
meeting
out,
or
if it really is, if these really are
Yeah.
quick meetings, just carve out that time to do, because I do think it's important, I just want to be
Yeah.
realistic.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
I appreciate that, rather than coming in the side door when people don't even know what's going on, and we just, yeah.
Goal line to be able to get here in 30 minutes.
Well,
Okay.
I think James said,
Yeah, I was curious how long you expect roughly each of these subcommittee meetings to last.
Well, it really depends on you. I mean, it doesn't have to be that long because you already have some good ideas for activities for each of these. And so it might just be getting clear in your heads about like what it is this a thing that's gonna take a year or a thing that's gonna take 2 months? And who, and what do you need to accomplish it? So it could be a half an hour, it could be an hour and a half. I don't think it's any longer than it.
But it, so are we gonna, did we come to agreement that we would try to do it at a meeting, or that?
I don't know, I guess I'm turning it around and see
Yeah,
what the
I'm giving
next
it-
month's meetings.
You see what we have, it works.
I guess I'm just gonna ask you to commit to a subcommittee, and then we'll figure out how to do it. Yeah, James?
So I
And then
guess,
Crystal, sorry.
I also like the idea of just having it before the actual meeting. But I was curious if the next meeting was gonna be here or the library or where.
Yeah, last meeting, we decided at least 2 meetings, here, and then, so. Next meeting should technically still be here, we don't really have any alternative, I'll. Mention that maybe in my planning liaison report next, or. Item 6.
When it comes up on the agenda.
No, I was just gonna say, I can do a subcommittee.
You ready to go?
I'm sure I can figure it out.
Okay, so let's just see who wants to be on which subcommittee, and then we'll work out the logistics. So who wants to be on the, oh, and remember, we are trying to get approximately equal numbers. So who wants to be on the policies and permitting and regs board?
We
Yeah,
are
I-
you talking about the whole,
The whole thing. So we have,
Yeah.
let's see. Paul, did you raise your hand? Ryan, Danielle, and Crystal?
Yeah, I'll say, I don't care which committee I'm on, you can put me wherever.
Okay, so I'm
At
gonna hold
the end
on.
of the day, yeah, I'll do whatever.
Okay, so Paul, Ryan and Danielle for sure. Who wants to be on the input into county policies as they come up? Okay, maybe that one is a little less effort because they're already listed, or maybe that's something where I don't know. Let's see, we'll wait on that one. That's number 6. Okay, who wants to be on the community engagement one? Everybody has to pick a subcommittee.
Put me anywhere.
Yeah, same.
What about the people who have not spoken up?
You can put me on the community engagement.
Community engagement, okay, for
I'd like to be on the community engagement one.
John.
I'd like to be on the farm labor housing.
The farm labor housing is the potential, like, input into county policies.
Is that what it is?
It is, the overall goal is to provide input on county policies, and primarily our housing is one of those.
Okay.
Okay, so. So Jake, could you be on any, Natalie, which one do you want?
Probably the one, because it was my idea to have the local farmers come in here.
Right, okay. James, I don't know if you're on two, which is
No
current
problem.
policies, who's left? Is that everybody?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome, okay. So we have Paul, Ryan, Crystal, and Daniel on one. Policies, permitting and regs. We have Peter and James on 6, which is input on county policies, and we have Crystal, Corin, John, and Natalie on 4, which is community.
You have me on 2. I'm good, but I'm not that good.
Okay.
Just kidding.
Which 2?
I don't know, you said my name
Actually, I
twice.
thought 2 committees.
Oh, I did?
Uh-huh.
Oh, I did.
Yes.
We'll put her on 6, and then there'll all be 3.
Sorry about that. Which would you prefer? Community engagement.
Yeah.
We'll have you on
I'll
community
just that
engagement.
one.
Okay.
Hey, can you tell me who's on my subcommittee then?
Yes, it's me, Crystal, Corin, John, and Natalie. Who wants to be the lead?
Yeah, I'm going to take this over there.
Yeah. Who else? John, you said?
John, okay, and Natalie. Who wants to be the lead? Natalie just walked out, so it's gotta.
John sounds good.
John sounds good.
John.
It is a nice name.
Beautiful. I don't care. Is it, we just have to coordinate with everybody?
Yes.
Oh,
Okay, Chris.
okay.
Okay. Peter and James, number 2, who wants to be the lead?
There's also,
I mean, number 6.
I don't know how you want to handle this, but Marilyn Johnson is not here.
Oh, yeah, well, but she'll have to decide.
Okay.
Yeah, and if someone else is not here today.
Yes.
James is the lead,
Yeah.
and who's the lead for number 1?
What's wrong with you on?
Okay,
Let me know when the meeting is, Jim.
so are you guys clear on the assignment?
An hour before, yeah, so it's here.
Yes,
Easy. We're done.
okay, so let's talk with these things. Are we proposing to start the next meeting half hour early?
Yeah, I think that could work.
Okay, half hour.
Does that work for you, John?
I think so.
Or do we just text you and ask, check your schedule?
Does that mean 5:45 or 6?
5:45, because
5:45.
we'll need to get here at 6:15.
Okay. So, what you will come out of that meeting is either something either written or typed up that looks something like this with the boxes filled in, as many as you can. We all of them have lists. The main goal and the main activities under them with some description of a possible timeline, who we need to support you with this, what the outcomes would be, everything that's on this chart. What I will do, and so the idea is if they're far enough along, you share them at the meeting, and then maybe you can vote on them as a document. What I will do is put this together so that you will see which are the ones you picked. And then you can decide if you feel like, there are a couple other ones that you want to kind of keep in the background as possible activities. So you'll have the full list, but you'll want to put in your work plan just the ones that got the most votes. Yeah.
Robbie, I was wondering if in your emails for notifications for the next meeting, if you could let the members know to come in a half hour early for the subcommittee meeting. Sure. I would appreciate that as a reminder.
And then Robbie, will you also get in contact with the members that were absent and figure out which committees and something that they're going to use?
Sure.
Yeah, but any last comments or questions? I think you guys did some really great work in coming up with your initial ideas, kind of fleshing out what's important to you and really doing some prioritizing today, so. Great work, thank you.
Thank you very much.
So this is
just supposed to be for a year work plan, or is it?
What did we say? Did we say anything? I don't know.
I think we said roughly a year,
Okay.
but I think a lot of work plans are, they might have 3 or 4 items, broad categories on them, and at least 1 or 2 of those go on and on
Okay.
because they're recurring items.
That's okay.
Debbie, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Is that, that concludes for this, okay.
All this stuff. Don't mind me as all this.
That's okay, we'll help you, Humana, if you'd like to. So, any public comment on this before we move on? Let's discuss it. Lauren, did you have I'm sorry.
I have a committee member comment when you get there.
Okay, so any public comment on Debbie's, on the presentation on the work plan from anybody present? No, any public comment, anyone online? No, okay. Thank you. Committee members, we will now close public comment for item 4 and begin member discussion on this item. Any comments from the members, Lauren?
Yeah, I have a couple announcements. Number one is, we have a new regional director for UC Extension. Igor is, interim director of the Elkis Ranch Research Education Center. I think we passed that on that one. So Igor took that over, but now Andrew Miller is the new regional director that he oversees San Mateo, San Francisco, and Santa Clara. And he is the interim regional director for Alameda and Contra Costa County.
So is he going to be added to the AAC?
I don't know. I just thought I saw him on the list, and so I thought, oh, I better say something about that.
That's
That
interesting.
literally just happened like 2 weeks, 3 weeks ago. So I
Okay,
just-
Robbie, you got that for purposes of when you make out the agenda, the written agenda with the roll call? Did you want to
I can send you an email. There's a new regional director of UC Extension.
Okay.
And then I hope you all have heard, but Costco received shipments of grape plants that were infested with glassy-winged sharpshooter. If you haven't heard and you bought grape plants, please give me a call. So we have 4 Costco's that received these plants. This is a regional issue right now going on. And there was 720 grape plants, 534 were actually sold. And I've only retrieved 81 of those that were sold, so that's not very good. But so what happened was we received a notice from the state that we could have received plants infested with glassy-winged sharpshooter. We went to both. 2 Costco's still had plants. We saw evidence. Actually, one of them only ended up being glassy-winged sharpshooter, but the other one was heavily infested with another plant hopper, which isn't okay either. But they have received multiple shipments from this nursery that was infested in Fresno County. And so there are people that received grape plants out of both Costco's that have had glassy-winged sharpshooter on it. So we're doing a massive recall. This includes like 20 counties. So we really need the word to get out. Glassy-winged sharpshooter spreads Pierce's disease to grapevines. That's the biggest thing, but it's really a hardship for nurseries. Because glassy-winged sharpshooter is spread on nursery stock. And so really the hardship really gets onto the nurseries. So it's really vital that we try to contain this where we can. So I've been all consumed with this for the last 3 weeks, I guess it's been going on, but so I would appreciate that. And then lastly, on Friday, we received notice that Texas had its first detection of the New World screwworm. And now, as of today, there's two calves in that county, another calf in LaSalle County, Texas, a goat in a different county in Texas, and a dog. So it went from one on Friday to like 5 different fines. So we don't have it currently in California, but we're asking that all, like, everybody kind of stay vigilant and sort of look out for any symptoms of it. And it's not a pretty symptom list, but really, California animal owners and veterinarians should monitor for draining or enlarging wounds. Sorry, everybody, it's not after dinner. Fly, eggs, maggot infestations on lesions. So that's what the New World Screwworm does. And if you do suspect that you have something, please report it immediately. This is technically, it's supposed to be reported within 24 hours. From a veterinarian. So the phone number is 866-922-2473. And if you need help, just give us a call. Help you get to the right phone number, person who you see something.
Thank you.
So I will say on a like happier note on that, the country has had New World Screwworm before, and they have been able to eradicate it. So just a sliver of hope there to stay with. So
what is the remediation process?
I don't know exactly.
And will you do inspections if we say, can you come look?
So probably, we don't do as much animal type stuff. We probably call in CDFA's animal health branch. And our district office is in Modesto, and I can get you guys that phone number. Or a veterinarian as well. So they are connected and they will report it as well. They have all the reporting requirements that they have, so.
That's just, that's so expensive.
Yeah, so we can talk to the district office that's in Modesto. So everyone's on kind of high alert, and there are plans in place. So like for now, those counties that have it in Texas do have quarantines, and so there's all this quarantine requirements around that. So there are plans, but if it gets into the wild animal population, that's where it gets a lot harder to control. And they are doing the sterile release flies in Texas right now. Try to control the population.
Thank you.
More to come on that one. I'm sorry. I thank you for giving me the time to report.
No,
I think
we can't address something if we don't know about it. So thank you for being forthright and telling us.
Yeah.
Thank you, those symptoms. We will now move on to item 6, planning liaison report by Robbie Miller. Unless, wait, first, is any other committee members with anything not on to report? James?
I'll just say something, but
Yes.
I just wanted to warn the peach growers in Northern California that are tearing out like hundreds of thousands of peach trees because the cannery closed and they have no venue for their product. And then in addition, I'd like to warn the apple growers down south of us, where Martinelli's canceled a lot of their contracts currently. And so a lot of those apple orchards are getting blown up right now too. So, yeah.
Absolutely, thank you. Thank you very much. We will now move on to item 6, the planning liaison report by Robbie Miller.
Thank you. Let's see, between the period of May 2nd and May 28th, we received no PAD applications. And no PAD applications were heard or considered by the board of supervisors and or the planning commission. Let's see, for coastal development exemptions, for agricultural projects, we did receive one application. And that was shown in attachment A, which was for a new agricultural well in San Gregorio. And then some additional announcements. Daniel and Cole are planning to switch seats. To give Daniel an opportunity to be eligible. If you desire for a chair, vice chair position, is currently his ag business and Bulls Farmer, so as the bylaws say now, and still do, only farmers can be elected, chair, vice chair. That should happen tomorrow as a, consent item on the Board of Supervisors.
I have one question. So when we're all sworn in, we're sworn into a specific seat, correct? Am I understanding that right? And then that we're allowed to, because it's on an agreement of both of them, they're able to squash that and just kind of start over, or they have to, they don't have to finish their term out first?
Through the chair, so, in order to make that switch, both members need to be eligible for the other position, and they both are. They both agreed to it, and most importantly, it has to be approved by the Board of Supervisors, because the Board of Supervisors made the appointment originally. So it's going to the Board of Supervisors tomorrow. And that it does not change anything about their term, so their term end dates are what they were originally were.
So, for instance, just for clarity, if your term ended in 2 months and yours ended in 6 months, it still stays at 6 months and yours ends at 2.
Yeah, although coincidentally, we both
Yeah.
started at the same time, so.
Oh, okay. Interesting, okay. I didn't know that was an option.
The term goes to the September 30th, 2026, I think, is what it says in the board meeting. And I guess this thing.
Lauren, can you say that again? I'm
I
sorry.
think the term, I saw in the, I don't have it up right now, but in the agenda, it said that the term is till September 30th, 2026.
That's correct.
Because it was a partial term, because you guys had already started it.
And then that's not something that goes in front of the AAC at all. Generally, it would go straight to the Board of Supervisors. Got that. I just didn't remember seeing anything like that, like a switcheroo in the bylaw, so I was kind of confused. I just wanted that clarity. Oh, Peter,
I just want to make sure you're done. Peter Markey?
Hey, Cole, just a question. Why you said switching roles, so then you consider on this committee, not a farm, but as a farm business, does that have any effect with you? We're running for the post, if you put it out there that your roles changed, or you post as a farm on the post.
No, I just was asked to, and I was asked to, I really feel pretty strong your way. And yeah, I was interested in running for a chair vice chair position in the future too. So I've been asked to, and I haven't been switching. I guess.
And just like this, I don't want to see why you do one thing here that hurts you in another end that you didn't think about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I mean, Pittsburgh, Birmingham, I don't. Can't think of anything in terms of what specifically, but for me, it wasn't really. I was asked to, and I don't think that's wrong about it, because I wasn't intending to take on a chair or vice chair role.
The other question I have is, why didn't you guys just wait until October when it's, to, reposition yourself?
September.
September.
I didn't, I assume the next vote will be in, was it October or November? Is the next time period, so that's my understanding of the next vote would be. I was just asked to like. Which again, unfortunately, so I didn't really have a strong.
I guess your question's more toward the end now. How come you're not waiting till
Are there
September
benefits?
like everybody else does? Or
So we didn't have to go through this.
I'm not waiting for what?
how come you're not waiting till your term is up like everybody else does? How come you decided to do this?
Oh, because we
beforehand?
wanted to be ready for the next vote, so it doesn't happen again like it did last time when we thought we could take a vote and have an opportunity to be chair and then found out that it wasn't possible. So this is just the preparing for that period. It doesn't change anything about how the committee's going to operate.
Okay,
Okay.
okay. All right, thank you.
So I'm not,
Any,
I still have some more stuff.
okay, go ahead.
Okay,
Oh, okay.
yeah, just a reminder again, we still have vacancies. A public member position, a conservationist position. So spread the word. We've had some applications already. But they have to be in the county, they have to live in San Mateo County. Then the next meeting is July 13th, here. And yeah, 5:45 for community members. That's it, thank you.
Okay, so the meeting is adjourned.
I was curious about where these came from.
I'm sorry, James, I didn't hear you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they're on our, yes.
Mike O'Neill, put them here, I think they were brought to. Dealers out there, they're asking about.
Yeah, this guy thinks I dropped off 60 of them.
So he's getting it.
Go for it.
Oh, thank you.
This magazine and Cole was on the cover of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should have handed it out then.
Oh, yeah. That's not what we said.
Okay, so now I will adjourn the meeting at an early time of 8:41 PM. Thank you very much.